Now, during the webinar, Alicia will be monitoring the questions that will be coming in. So we want you to take advantage of asking us questions. We already see that there could be a couple of questions that are already coming in. So Alicia, just whenever you see those come in, just interrupt me at any time. But folks, what we're going to really talk to you today about is Obamacare and how Obamacare is driving doctors to want to outsource their medical billing. And again, folks, you know, this webinar is not so much about me or Alicia today, but it's really about you, about our country, about what's going on, about the doctors, and really about the patients. So again, we want to give you as much information today as possible, and then again, feel free to ask us questions as we go through here. What I'm going to do today, the format is this. I'm going to present 5 reasons that will be driving doctors to want to outsource their medical billing. And Alicia, as I began to prepare all of this last week and getting ready for today, it's unbelievable about how much information is really out there, even on the news. And so that's one of the first things I want to kind of touch on. So here is the first reason. Reason number 1. Why Obamacare is driving doctors to outsource their medical billing. Number 1, doctors will have to do more with less. Now, folks, we are not, let me kind of say this, we are not particular on any news station, whether we quote from Fox or whether we quote from anybody else. We're not driving anybody particular's you know, news outlet, but these are just the information that's come to us that as we go through it. So here is Fox News Insider. I believe Sean Hannity actually interviewed these 2 guys here just recently, and Alicia, this was just this last week. And listen to what these 2 doctors said on this interview. So it says there's 2 doctors joined Hannity tonight to discuss the challenges they faced in the first week of Obamacare and what they believe the long-term implications of the overhaul will be. First of all, let's listen from Dr. Kevin Campbell, who's a cardiologist, worries that the law will impede his ability to provide efficient, high-quality care to his patients. Now, Alicia, isn't that some of the things that we talk with our potential people that are coming into the business about a lot, about how our system will really help them become more efficient in their office?
Oh, definitely. You know, I think it's great to have this coming from other resources and not just from our mouths. And not only more efficiently, it's helping the patient care. You've got to maintain that you know, patient care along with keeping the patients happy and the physicians happy. And one way to do that is you definitely want to make sure that they are getting reimbursed for their time, but also that you're not taking up more time. They're going to have an influx of patients, and they've got to maintain everything as best as possible, and we can help them do that.
Yeah. Listen to, Alicia, listen to this guy's quote. He says, I think that we are asked to do more with less. Reimbursement rates are falling. We're having to cut staffing so that now to make a more efficient office, to see more patients, we're doing it with less staff.
How is that possible? You know what they're thinking.
I don't know how these doctors are really going to survive without some type of solution. And again, folks, we're going to provide this so you can start to see how Obamacare is starting to drive these doctors to really, for those that may not be considering outsourcing or have done in the past, now they're really going to be starting to look at this again. Now, Dr. Dimitri Alden, a surgeon, he says this, explaining that the Medicare reimbursement rates make it nearly impossible for private practices to exist. Again, Alicia, these are some of the same things we keep hearing about, but again, we wanted to kind of drive this home this afternoon and share this with the folks that are on the webinar this afternoon. And again, I know that you kind of talked to some of the your people that you're coaching along about these exact things that these doctors are talking about. You want to comment a little bit on that as well?
Sure. I think it's very important to have a true interest in helping these physicians. You know, they've worked hard to build a practice to where it is, and to watch it just slip away, just for simply lack of knowledge that there's something out there to help them. You know, as Dr. Campbell says, they had to cut their staffing, but now they've even got more patients to see, and that means more work to be done, and they need help. They need to outsource their billing, and they need someone that's got a system that can do it the best and most efficient way, and of course that's going to be our licensees.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. And again, we're going to go through these 5 reasons, and then we're going to come back and talk about the 5 different solutions. Now, reason number 2. Now, again, here is from Forbes magazine. Now, reason number 2, doctors are unsure how they will be paid. Now, you know, I don't know about you, Alicia, but, you know, anybody that's in business, they certainly want to know how they're going to get paid. And here was an article I found just 2 days ago. There was a survey that was taken by the MGMA. Now, you can see that right here where it says, let me see if I can get this little pen to kind of work here. Right there, MGMA Association. We're part of that association, and they did a survey. And their survey was to ask these doctors, you know, what do you think about this Obamacare thing? 40% of doctors' practice are unsure about Obamacare exchanges. Now, so listen to this, what this one doctor has said. It's troublesome that there is so much uncertainty about ACA implementation. Now, we're talking about the Affordable Care Act. This late in the game, said Dr. Susan Turney, a President and Chief Executive Officer of the Medical Group Management Association, which is meeting this week in San Diego for its annual conference. She goes on to say, physicians said they saw opportunities to provide care to the uninsured and medically underserved population, but more than 80% of doctors worried about what they will be paid from the plans participating on the exchanges. So again, Alicia, here we've got Forbes, we've got MGMA, or Forbes reporting on MGMA, these issues that these doctors are unsure how they're going to get paid through Obamacare. How is this possible?
Again, you know, they just do not have the resources or the knowledge. You know, and that's physicians everywhere. The time is now. We've got to get to these physicians and let them know that there is a way to help them. And 80% of doctors are worried about what they will be paid from the plans. They're concerned about getting reimbursed and faced with more patients. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify. We did say, you know, that the ACA stands for Affordable Care Act. Natalie, if you were pointing that out, thank you for doing so.
Right, and we're going to make sure that we hopefully, you know, hit all of these acronyms and everything, because we understand that not everybody is, you may just be learning about medical billing and all these different things, what's going on, but thank you, Alicia, for kind of watching out for that. Alicia, do we have any other questions that we can maybe kind of take at this point, or you think we're good to go on?
You know, we could if you want to talk to, it looks like Kuldeep. What about the doctors getting a certain amount per patient? I think maybe he's asking kind of what correlated with this, concerned about what there will be paid from the plans. And yes, that's going to be the same. You know, physicians are worried if it's going to be the same amount or any amount. They are just well educated. No one knows right now. And they're a little bit worried about the influx of patients versus what the reimbursements might be. So I just wanted to point that out, that it did come through. I will try and pay better attention to that right now. But, Curtis, I do want to say that thank you for typing in. He couldn't find the hand on the iPad app.
Okay. There may not be there on the iPad app.
I don't think so, and I'm learning this control panel myself. So.
Well, again, folks, here we've already gone through 2 reasons. You know, one, that their doctors are going to have to work more with less. Number 2, doctors are unsure how they're going to get paid. Now, let's go ahead and move on to number 3 here. Doctors are believing the myths. Now, this is this is probably one of the biggest problems that we have here so far. On this website called Politico, this was just October the 1st, 2013, so just a few days ago. This article, what doctors may not know about Obamacare and what they need to know. But look at what is said here in this opening sentence. Think you can just have your doctor explain Obamacare to you? Good luck with that.
Wow.
Now, you know, Alicia, you and I do a lot of demos together. I think we did one for a doctor of yours not too long ago. And, you know, this was some of the things that we were asking him and quizzing him about. And again, really, the doctors, we think they should know about Obamacare. We think that they ought to know a lot about the law, about what's going on with Obamacare. But a little bit further in this particular article, listen to else what it says. It says a lot of people will get their information about the health care law from their physicians, figuring they probably understand Obamacare pretty well because, you know, they're doctors, right? So they've got that authority figure. But the reality, according to physicians groups and surveys, is that a lot of doctors are all over the map in their knowledge of the law. And some are falling for the same ideological myths as the general public. So
that makes sense. They're worried about their patients, taking care of their patients, and staying on top of that. If you think about it from that aspect. Anyway,
right.
I just wanted to, yeah.
Yeah, here we've got a group of doctors, and we've got a group of people in America that we know as our doctors, right? And they're supposed to be trusted, and we think that they know what's going on. Now, here's from those that are listening in to the webinar today, and those that will be listening to the recorded version of it later on. People are going to probably start asking, well, if the doctors don't know, how are we going to know? Well, it goes to this. It goes to an economy of scale. Patrick has said it. We've said it before. And let me just kind of interject this into this right now. If we really, truly think about it, medical billing has become its own specialty. Would you agree with that, Alicia?
Oh, most definitely. Well put.
Yeah. So medical billing has become its own specialty. So now what doctors that are trying to do medical billing in their own office, really what they're doing is trying to run two separate businesses, one for their practice and one for them just getting paid. It has become its own entity so that we really, the American public, really need an outsourcing for these doctors to let someone else help those doctors get paid. Folks, this is the window of opportunity that we have been talking about now for the last few years, let alone the last 20 years. So we keep thinking that the window might be closing on medical billing and this whole business of medical billing. But as far as we're seeing, Alicia, the window's being blown open for those that want to take a hold of the opportunity right now and get involved in medical billing. Folks, there is probably not a better opportunity in history than it is right now, because with our help here at American Business Systems and with support people like we have at the office like Casey and our training staff and our licensees all over the country, folks, Alicia, I'm gonna roll this over to you. Kind of explain to the people where we get our information from, because we get it right on the front lines from our licensees, so we know what's going on. We're not having to talk through these myths. Wouldn't you agree about that?
Oh, yes. I mean, outside of all of these resources you shared with us on the webinar today, staying in contact with our licensees is vital to making sure that we are on top of the most current changes that's within the industry, and also just the feedback from these physicians, knowing what their struggles are, knowing what they're going through, their staff, their office managers. You've got to become a part and utilize one another to really hit home and help these physicians. And that is one of the keys about becoming a licensee with ABS. Is it's not you trying to do this on your own and trying to figure it out for yourselves, kind of like these physicians are facing right now. It's joining together and doing the best you can to help them out and staying in, like I said, with the most current news. I mean, it says right here that physicians have no idea. You know, we do trust them, and they're supposed to know everything, you know, when you go and see that physician. But to know that they are unsure about what their future is and know that we've got a solution to help them, I just want to run out there right now and hit every practice I can and just let them know it'll be okay. Just hold on.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's talk about the reason number 4. All right, so doctors frightened by going paperless. Now, you would think that doctors would have already known about going paperless already, but here on this website called townhall.com, again, this is a very recent article, and folks, the articles that we're showing here are within the last week or so, but it says this. Now, before I even read this, let me explain to what the High-Tech Act is all about. The High-Tech Act is the portion of what was written there so that doctors would be encouraged to go to an EMR, or electronic medical record system. They can get reimbursements between now and the next couple of years here. You can see up to 2015 for implementing an EMR, or electronic medical record system, in place. So, okay, so now that we've got that understood, let me read this article and the title of this article. Paperless problems. Doctors hurting from Obamacare's digital record mandate. Here this article states, the High-Tech Act is a frightening diagnosis for doctors already fearful of the Obamacare unknown. Alicia and I have already talked about what some of those unknowns are already. It is a mandate that requires physicians to transition to computerized versions of the patient's paper charts by 2015, according to healthit.gov, and is another unfortunate arm of the Affordable Care Act. Okay, now, in that same article, Alan Joseph outlined some of the technical challenges his clients are facing in regards to the High-Tech Act in an email to Town Hall. Listen to what he says. Depending on the product, there's a massive undertaking first to acquire the hardware. Now remember that, folks, because we're going to talk about that in a minute. Then to install the hardware and the volumes of data required to operate the software. Then the operations of the software needed to be implemented. There's a huge learning curve. Now, Alicia, I know what you're already thinking. You're thinking, our solution already. I know where your mind's going, and hopefully people that have already, that you've talked to, I've talked to, the other ABS coaches have talked to, hopefully they can start to see these reasons that we're saying and the solutions that ABS already has.
Yeah, I was hoping that everyone on this webinar today was really letting that sink in and kind of realizing without us saying here in just a little bit what is going to help them and our solution, what we'll do to eliminate some of that.
Exactly. So we've got one more to go, Alicia, and then we're going to start talking about the solutions here. I know that we're kind of talking about all these different things, and I saw a question came in from Richard just a minute ago. And let me go ahead and address this, but we're going to go back through some of the Q&A here in just a minute, but this is kind of pertaining back to a couple of reasons earlier. He's saying if the licensees, how can we as licensees guarantee to get paid if the doctors are unsure how they'll get paid? Richard, I'm going to hold that question until we get to one of the solutions, because that's how you'll be able to do that. So bear with us there, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But again, folks, the doctors are already worried about how much it's going to cost them in hardware, then to install it, then the data that has to require to keep that software operating, and then how to implement everything. Folks, we truly do have the solution there. And again, we'll get there in just a second. Now, lastly, folks, we could have gone a whole 2 hours with all these different reasons, but we can only limit it to about 5 right now. So number 5, doctors not ready for increased demands. Now, again, this is not Alicia telling you. This is not Patrick Phillips telling you this. It's not Eric telling you this. These are coming from credible news organizations. Again, you see this is published October 1st, 2013 by Fox News. As enrollment in Obamacare begins, physicians throughout the country are preparing to deal with an influx of newly insured patients, as well as the increased financial demands this will place on their practice. It continues to say here, while it will take a few years for doctors to fully determine how they will be affected by Obamacare, some physicians are already anticipating the need, look what it says, to make major changes to the way they run their practice. Alicia?
I can feel the suspense right now on folks just wanting to know what these solutions are. But you know, the changes that are needed to be made for these physicians and their practices are something that we've touched base on so many times, and there's so many different resources out there saying the same thing with the influx of patients and you know, the fear of how they're going to get paid. But I don't know if I should go ahead and let them know on a little sneak peek on what is needed to help these physicians and how that we can reduce all of this headache. I mean, I don't know about you guys here on the webinar today, but I'm kind of fearful, you know, right now and ready to hear some solutions. What's going on, Eric? What do you got for us?
Well, let's get to that, because just as many of the reasons that we discussed, we're gonna actually go with 5 different solutions that we can help meet that. Well, first of all,
Eric, let me stop you right there, if you don't mind. I apologize. Just trying to get the questions and trying to help you out with that. I know that you said we're going to do maybe a Q&A at the end of the content here today, and I'm trying to read them, but I'm having difficulty just letting you know that. So if I'm not bringing up any questions, it's because I'm not working the control panel correctly. So
no problem. I think everything's fine.
Okay, great.
Yep, we're fine. Okay, so here we're kind of at the halfway point, folks. We're kind of at the bottom of the hour. We've got 5 reasons that we discussed here. And again, as Alicia had alluded to, we're going to start looking at some of the solutions. So, but the question I want you to keep in mind as we go through the rest of this webinar this afternoon, and again, for those that are going to be listening a little bit later, or you may be on the webinar today and you want to re-listen to this later as well, again, we'll be sending out a link of this as a recording, and certainly you can kind of go back over this. So hopefully we're not going too quickly. But again, at least it kind of prepares you to be asking yourself this question. So here's the question that we want to pose to you. Both Alicia, Patrick, myself, the rest of the team want to ask you today. What will you do to position yourself to be one of the medical billing companies needed by doctors? That's why you're on the webinar today. That's why you're going through your due diligence. That's why you're talking with all of us here at ABS. So this is what we're going to start going through right now, the first solution. First of all, the first thing that we talked about was doctors will have to do more with less. Now, Alicia, our EMR system, our billing system, we're going to start off with the EMRX this time. This will give the doctor the opportunity to truly do more with less. You want to talk a little bit about our EMRX, which is our electronic medical records platform?
Oh, sure. This is part of the solution that's going to help physicians with, for starters, going paperless. You know, that was one of the headaches that physicians were faced with the ACA around the corner. But also, they've got to maintain certain regulations and requirements for that reimbursement. So our EMRX solution can help them with that. And I don't know if you guys remember that one of the, in my opinion, the biggest factor in implementing the EMR solutions with the hardware, the software, and what have you, is the learning curve. Having to do all of this while seeing patients and learn a new system. And our system helps the physicians. It lowers the learning curve for physicians and staff and maintains everything that's necessary for the maximum reimbursement. Maybe I should stop there in case I'm getting a little bit too detailed.
No, actually, let's kind of talk about that just another couple of minutes into this. Alicia, you and I have done a lot of demos. You do demos, I do demos. Folks, if you haven't seen a demo yet of our system, ask your ABS coach. We'll be more than happy to show this to you. one of the solutions through our system, and it's because our system, both our billing system, our EMR, and folks, our clearinghouse is all one unit, which means that the doctors will be able to do more with less. One of the key factors here is that we can use our system to actually check insurance eligibility and actually populate patient demographics directly into the system. Now, I may be talking somewhat of a different language to you right now. Please don't hesitate. We want to show you what these solutions do to help these doctors with these problems that they're faced with. And one of them is our EMRX solution. So, folks,
Eric, let me interrupt you if I may. I'd like to take a question. Actually, I've got two. The
sure.
first one, Kuldeep is kind of refining his question, and it's dealing with the physicians getting reimbursed on their patients. And he says, if the doctors are getting $1,000, as a set fee for a certain procedure on different patients, then why do we still have to do the billing? Why is there still billing with that?
That's a great question. Again, folks, it really ties in directly what we're dealing with right here. Remember the slide that I shared with you on the actual reason why it's forcing doctors to think about outsourcing or pushing and driving doctors to outsource. You already heard one of that cardiologist in the beginning. He's already having to let staff members go. So what we become that stopgap for that doctor. Not necessarily that he has to let other people go, but Alicia, you used to work in a doctor's office. You know the stresses that front office staff goes through. And to have some of these solutions, not only will it help reduce a lot of the labor, but it will make that office run more efficiently. That was one of the issues that doctor had there in the beginning. Our platform will help with that. And so the doctors don't want to do billing. I promise you. This is the last thing that they want to have to work for. What they want to know is, can they get paid? And they're under a lot of stress right now. Both Alicia and I have talked to doctors personally. We know that this is what's going on.
Whether it's $100, for that procedure or $500, those claims are still generated and must be filed for the physician to get paid. So that claim still has to go through, and that check still has to come into the doctor's pocket. One more question real quick from Natalie.
Sure.
She's wanting to know if this EMRX and iClaim is accredited and if that is a requirement at all.
Yes. The quick answer is yes. Now, Natalie, what you can do, again, is get with your person that you're talking with, and what you can do is be able to, I think the best way to answer that is that our system is one of 20 systems out there that has met the requirements for stage 2 meaningful use. Now, you may not know what that means, but again, there are a lot of EMR systems that are out there in the market, and we're talking hundreds. We're one of 20 that has met that requirement. So
Eric, I feel like you gave away a secret.
Yeah. So we're set for the future, folks. I just want to assure you, we are set for the future. Let's move on to solution number 2. Doctors are unsure how they'll get paid, which kind of goes directly into your question that you had there. Now, folks, again, iClaim is the platform, which is a complete revenue cycle management system. Again, we want to encourage you, if you haven't taken a look at our system, we'll be more than happy to give you a little bit of a demonstration of our system. Because one of the key factors is what I mentioned earlier, is if there's wrong patient data in a billing system, the doctor's not going to get paid when they go to file that claim. We have a stopgap for that as well. And again, Alicia, you want to kind of talk a little bit about how claims get rejected with most other systems out there, and how iClaim, how it kind of avoids that issue there?
Oh, I'd love to. It's one of my favorite features, being that I've worked in the field and have experienced this numerous times. Huge headache for physicians. And we're talking patient information input into the system that's as simple as putting a drive on the address instead of street, and that claim will get denied. It will get kicked back. and every time. And we've got a feature that eliminates that, ensuring that the information from the patient demographics is as clean as it can be to get that claim paid for that physician.
Exactly. Now, folks, again, if doctors are unsure how they're going to get paid, we've got the solution with iClaim, and we want you to understand so that you'll be ready to know what kind of decision you need to make so you can help these doctors as well. Let's move to solution number 3. Doctors are believing the myths. Folks, listen, the doctors, they are smart people out there, smart men and women, and I'm telling you what, you know, Alicia, you know, recently I had a couple of bouts of being in and out of the hospital, one appendicitis, and I am so grateful for the knowledge that doctors do have. But folks, they don't know the billing business side, and the doctors hear so much information out there. They hear one doctor say something, and then they go, oh, well, that must be true, and then they start repeating that information, and it goes round the circle there. To whenever you start to talk to doctors, I've literally had a doctor, Alicia, this last week. I asked this doctor, he gave me some information about Obamacare and how it's affecting his business. I said, where'd you get that information from? He goes, you know, honestly, I don't know. I just heard it.
Oh, goodness, but here you go.
Yeah. So doctors are believing the myths. Patrick Phillips and a CPA that he knows wrote a book called Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. Folks, this is the Bible, so to say, on medical billing, about electronic medical records, about just general cash flow in a practice. It's got to start here. Now, folks, what's nice about this is that you get to have this book as part of your business package and your marketing things that you're going to need to go out and market to the doctors with. We're going to teach you exactly some information directly from this in the 5 days of live training. But I've got the graphic next to it, and that is all the support of our licensees that are on the front line. Alicia, we've got over 1,500 licensees out there with a minimum of those licensees having 10 to 12 doctors out there doing business. So if you just kind of multiply that out on average, that's a lot of doctors out there that our ABS team has a direct touch to. So folks, if you're wanting to help dispel the myths that are out there, you need to be a part of our team here at American Business Systems, because you know we've got these people like I've got way out over here. They get fed back to all of this. Not only do we have our licensees as a base, we have our own support team, and here recently we've got Patrick has put together an advisory board made up of doctors, both medical and folks that are in like PhDs in IT, folks that have been in sales for a long time. These are the people that you get to have direct contact with. So if you have a doctor that comes back with you with some type of what you think might be a myth, come back and ask us, and we'll get you the right information. Alicia, talk a little bit about how all of that support mechanism works.
Well, you just have an experienced team backing you the whole way. Everyone has the same goal. Of course, you're building a business for yourself, but at the same time, you are trying to, as Eric said, dispel this myth nationwide, and we want to get to these physicians. No matter what state you're in, you can help these physicians, just be aware that they are trying to run two businesses and let them know that you can take that headache off their hands and help them even increase their revenue while they're increasing their patient flow and help streamline everything to be as most efficient and stress-free. Let's face it, guys, that's going to be very stressful for the physicians and patients because you can't forget the patient aspect either. And,
correct.
This book right here is definitely a marketing tool that helps the physicians see what in the practice needs some help. Is that right, Eric?
Exactly. Before I go off of this screen and get to number 4, I want to talk real quickly one more myth, and that is the myth of how much it costs a doctor to have an EMR system. There are EMR systems out there that could put the doctor back a pretty penny. We're talking 10 to 20, up to as high as $40,000. I read this last week to have an EMR system. One of the ways you can dispel the myth that the doctors are believing is to have them on our EMR system. And we'll explain to you the low cost that it can have the doctor on our EMR system. And again, getting those doctors to become believers in what you do as a medical billing company. Solution number 4, doctors frightened by going paperless. Again, this is one of those problems that we discussed earlier. Alicia, why don't you talk a little bit about iDocs Now?
Our iDocs Now service is a really neat way to help physicians, and that even touches base with business owners of any sorts, not just the medical industry. But it's like a virtual file cabinet, and if you're wanting to I always go back to the scenario. I work for a physician, and one of the patient exam rooms was literally storage for patient charts. And, with an iDocs Now solution, you're able to go in and turn that back into a patient exam room and actually utilize it for what it was set to be. I don't know if I'd ever told you that story, Eric, before.
Right.
Because, you've definitely got to keep some records, and essentially that's what the EMR is all about as well.
Yeah, so folks, here you got an issue that could be solved to the doctors immediately. Doctors have to keep their records up to 7 years, some as high as up to 10 years. Now they've got to store those records. So iDocs Now becomes a solution to get all of that paperwork in a secured, HIPAA-compliant, very secured area, instead of maybe, like Alicia said, one of the exam rooms, which takes up real estate, or in a storage room, like what we heard down in New Orleans, where when the big hurricane hit down there, and there were a lot of doctors that had their stuff in storage like that, and then they got flooded. Now all those records have gone away, and they are liable for all of that. Let's get them on a secured area. This will help reduce their issues with going paperless, because remember, they have to go paperless anyway with an EMR system. So we're taking it from 2 areas. One, their current paper issues that they're dealing with, and their future paper issues that they're having to deal with. So folks, hopefully you can start to see here that we have the solution that will help reduce the doctor's fear about going paperless. And then lastly, doctors not ready for the increased demands. Now I've got our suite of all of our different services that we have up here. And again, time won't allow us to go through each and every one of these. And one that I don't even have up here, which is our Physician's Toolbox, which is kind of basically our own clearinghouse of all new types of services that do come along. And as you can see here on screen, if a doctor is seeing a lot of Medicare patients and they want to make sure that they are within compliance for Medicare, we need to run them through Audit Guard. If a doctor is facing issues with patients, and Alicia, I think we're going to really start to see an increase of this since the whole Obamacare thing has gone into play, and some patients may not have all the money they need for deductibles. The patient needs a way to pay the doctor back without having to pay it all in one lump sum. Choice pay is that way of doing that. iClaims we've already talked about. CodeWrite gives that doctor the opportunity if they need some help with coding. Why don't you kind of take the last row there, about starting there with Quick Collect, Alicia?
Sure, yeah, definitely. I want to go ahead and address a question real quick, though, with Donna, speaking of coding. She asked will there still be a need for coders to code the documents in order to bill and file the claims. And Eric, I don't know if you want to touch base on that right now, dealing kind of with the iClaim solution and how we've got all of the codes in the system to help ensure the accuracy of all the codes correlating with each claim so that when it's filed. But anyhow, there's not a need for physicians to have coders on staff.
Right.
That's what iClaims is for. And Donna, a great way to actually get a visualization of that is to get with your ABS associate that you're working with and ask to see a demo of the software.
Exactly.
All you guys that are on the webinar today, give us a call. Let's give you a demo so that you can actually see what we're talking about and kind of maybe get a better idea. But let's go on to the Quick Collect. as of right now, there's so many patients that physicians have with an outstanding balance, and no telling what we're going to be facing here in the near future. But that is definitely a service that you have to provide physicians to help collect that money. With the auto card, that's a great way for physicians to stay in contact with patients, and also sending patient reminders. That also helps, keep a friendly face with the patient along the way. I think that's very important, that we understand that the patient and physician relationship needs to be maintained, at optimum level. Of course, we've gone over the EMRX, and again, that'd be a great reason to ask to see a demo. And the iDocs Now solution, as Eric said, physicians have tons of paper that they need a solution for right now. That will provide the solution and help them transition into the EMRX so that they can continue moving forward paperless.
Yeah, let me address that real quickly, Alicia, about the coding, because you know as well as I do that a year from this month, October of 2014, some of the codes, which are the diagnosis codes, are going to be switching from what's called the ICD-9s to the ICD-10s. Our system is already ready for that. Now, the great thing about this is, for those that have a little bit of medical billing knowledge and maybe a little bit of medical coding knowledge, this is going to help the doctors not have to memorize all these brand new codes. Again, really the only way for you to understand that is surely to ask us for a demo. We'll show you exactly what we mean by that, because as that doctor is seeing that patient, the system behind the scenes is so intelligent by what the doctor's inputting about why the patient came in and what the doctor found during the visit, that the system literally gives that doctor a grouping of suggested codes based upon that patient's problems that they came in with. So it's a wonderful system, folks, and one of the best ways for you to see that is certainly ask for a demonstration. All right, so Alicia, we're almost about 10 more minutes here, about 12 more minutes left of the webinar, and I'm going to take a little bit of time here because I'm sure, folks, you have some questions that have come in that are going through your mind, some of the questions that we may not have addressed just yet. So as Alicia's kind of starting to look through some more of those questions there, and maybe you want to type some in, we certainly want to be able to do that and kind of take care of some of those questions. But as we're kind of getting to this point here, folks, I hope that you can see that Obamacare in and of itself is creating an opportunity. For those that are a studier of history, you know that good entrepreneurs, those that like to make money, look at the opportunities around them. And although we know that the media has enough of its bad publicity about Obamacare or the negativity press that's out there, folks, we have an opportunity to make the best of it, not just for ourselves. We're not looking at it selfishly. Folks, the doctors, you can see, need help. But again, it really goes down to you and I. We're the ones that have to go see the doctors eventually. And I don't know about you, I want to go to a doctor that is not worried about how they're going to get paid. So you've got to be thinking about your solution. As you're thinking about the solution, take it down to the lowest common denominator, and that's you and your family and your friends. Do you want those doctors to be worried about themselves getting paid? You can be a solution to this whole issue about why doctors are being driven to start outsourcing their medical billing. All right, Alicia, let's kind of start looking over some of these questions. And boy, did we get a boatload of questions here.
Yeah, we sure did. We sure did. I want to throw in there real quick, about the window of opportunity and being able to see it. And I don't know of any other company. Not only can we see this opportunity, but providing the tools and the resources and the help and the knowledge and the support the entire way to build a successful business for yourself and help these physicians. I hope that made sense. I meant to interrupt you there, but I couldn't. That was well said, Eric, and what I was talking about in trying to maintain essentially just everyone's happiness and well-being, right?
Exactly.
Let's get on, to the questions. Ronaldo, I do want to let you know that I did get your note, and I will send that over to you in an email. But she's also asking if you have to pay every month for any type of technical support or any extra fees. Eric, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate that. And I tell you what, Alicia, if you don't mind, let's turn our cameras on, so as we kind of wrap this thing up, we can kind of directly talk to those that are on the call today, because you can actually see us live here. Folks,
we are real.
We are real. We're here live today. Folks, what you're going to get whenever you become a licensee of American Business Systems is the whole package. We don't hold anything back. So for future support mechanisms, when you need help, whether it's with a demo, whether it's with implementation, whatever it might be, we're here to help you. So to your question, Alicia, that came in, no, there's no additional cost for future support. So again, we're here to help you grow your business. And so we want to be able to do that with you as much as you need to. So absolutely no future cost to you.
Richard wants to know if iDocs now can categorize the papers for the business, and I think maybe he's meaning a licensee from a licensee standpoint.
So are you asking, Alicia, can it help the licensee
categorize the documents that are scanned in?
Okay, that's a great question, which should kind of lead us into a few things here. A lot of people ask, well, what about how do I get, if these doctors are still using paper, these what's called paper super bills, and they're having to actually write down these codes on there. A lot of people ask, well, how do I get that information over? And then, so what you can do is actually use iDocs now as helping that doctor kind of ease into a paperless society. So you can literally have that doctor use iDocs now, it gets uploaded to the system, and then you will be able to take it from there and actually input it into the system. And then that becomes your virtual office there as well, virtual filing cabinet, as Alicia said, and you're not stuck with all this paperwork around you either, because the last thing you want to do is have all of those papers and those documents from the doctor's office and all that patient information in your house or your office there, with the possibility of damages to that as well. So, all right, Alicia,
Richard,
let's take another one.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Richard also, I thought I'd throw that in there while you're on his question, would like to know a little bit more about the incentives for these physicians switching over to the EMR system.
Great question. There is, and it started a few years ago, the doctors at that point could have gotten up to $44,000. Now, each year a little bit comes off of that, and I think we're at 32, somewhere around the $30,000 range that the doctors can actually get reimbursed back for implementing an EMR system into their office. Now, next year, that's going to come down some more, where the 5th year is going to come down even less. The 6th year, there are no reimbursements. But guess what happens after that? They're going to start getting penalized for not having it. Just very similar to how it is with the Obamacare right now for us as individuals to make sure that we have health insurance in America. That, you know, this first year there's really not a big penalty for not having health insurance, but the years coming there could be some hefty fees that go along with that. So it's the same principle there that you can understand. So the doctors have to have an EMR system in their office by the year of 2015. And if they take advantage of it now, they're eligible to receive some of those reimbursements.
Not only just the EMR, it has to meet all of the meaningful use requirements.
That is correct.
It has to be certified. Which leads me into a question from Curtis. Hi, Curtis. Will the EMRX be able to be certified for meaningful use stage 3?
Oh, great question. Yes.
That's a great question.
If I can see in my little crystal ball here, yes. Well, let me explain something to you, Curtis. And the nice thing about it is that being a part of American Business Systems, first of all, we've been around going on 20 years come this next year. We plan on being here for the next 20 years and longer than that. So we are set to make sure that these issues are dealt with. There is a lot of effort that goes into that. So part of being with ABS, you can feel secure to know that any time, especially here in the future, whenever there's new codes that are come out, new requirements such as stage 3. Since we've already hit the hurdle, so to say, at 2, we've already begun on 3 and actually already on 4.
Great question. I want to go back to Richard, and this kind of goes back just a few steps about the physicians and their fear of getting paid. He asked, how can our licensees be guaranteed to get paid if the doctors are unsure?
Yeah, Richard, again, that's a great question. And kind of going back through all that, the doctors need a system to make sure that they get paid, and iClaim is one of those. Again, where some of the doctors get they don't get paid right now is one issue, and we're just going to deal with one issue right now, is that whenever their front office actually puts in the patient demographics into a system, if they misspelled my name or Alicia's name or your name, and they're going to go try to file that insurance claim up on you, when it hits that insurance company, it doesn't match. So that claim gets rejected all the way back to the doctor's office or to that billing company. With iClaim, we get to check all of that information out prior to us ever filing a claim. So we're doing a lot of proactive things with iClaim that will ensure those doctors get paid. So if we get the doctors paid, you get paid as well. Alicia, we're kind of coming up to the top of the hour here.